Hey everyone, this is Cynthia, psychic and astrologer. So today we're going to be discussing the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. There's definitely a lot to discuss about it. Besides the eclipse, the very next day on April 21st, we're going to be having Mercury begin its retrograde cycle. So stay tuned to the end to hear about what to expect with that Mercury retrograde. So let's get started. So, one of the big events for the month of April will be the new moon solar eclipse on April 20th. Now, it will be in the sign of Aries. Now, one of the big things that I always point out to everybody is keep an eye 30 days before an event of an eclipse. So, that would have been last month's or March's new moon, which happened to also be in Aries. Now, we are slowly moving away from the Taurus Scorpio eclipses slowly moving into the Aries Libra eclipses. And that'll begin this year. So, as we are transitioning into that, you're going to start to focus the energy in a different part of your life where Aries starts to affect you. So, you definitely want to keep an eye, whether it's your own birth chart or your transit chart, where currently Aries, the sign of Aries, is affecting you. And the energy of a solar eclipse lasts 6 months. But because we will be seeing more eclipses, this could be something that will be continuing on for the next year and a half. Now, with this solar eclipse, connects very well with Saturn um, and Mars, but there will be some challenges with the Sun, Pluto, with the Sun and Pluto, the Moon, Sun, and Pluto. So this is actually going to be a time maybe it's of change, and usually when I notice a time of transition, transitions can bring changes. Sometimes the changes may be difficult. Sometimes the changes are expected, but not where you were planning it. Or maybe you were planning on it, but just changes can be difficult to do sometimes, especially if it relates to relocating, moving away, maybe moving to another city, a country, another home. So it's definitely a time of what I would call time of transition. Now, the sign of Aries is it's the first sign of the horoscope. And it usually is an indication of new beginnings, a new start, a new chapter in your life. Now, the new chapter could be something, like I said, expected, maybe something that you are starting, like a business venture. The only little minor concern that I would have the negative side of Aries, if you're an Aries, I apologize in advance, but this is a bad side of an Aries, and that is sometimes you can begin something but not complete it or finish it. So maybe the positives of having a positive Saturn connection with the eclipse is that it creates um, a grounding, stable effect. So it helps you to get more centered and focused, maybe to complete that project, to move forward with that business venture or side venture. It doesn't necessarily have to be the big change. It could be more of a subtle plans of changes. So you definitely want to keep an eye on this because this is going to bring about a time of new opportunities there. Now, it just so happens that on the same day, the sun starts to enter the sign of Taurus. Again, another very grounded sign that creates more of that stability and that security there. So it's sometimes easy to have the thought in the head, the plan, but moving forward with it can sometimes make you feel doubts, may make you feel like it's too much work, never mind. Well, having the Saturn there with the eclipse and then the sun entering Taurus, I think is going to help that from the negative part of Aries to more positive of Aries, where it gets things moving forward, makes plans and actions occur. Get ready. We are going to have another Mercury retrograde starting May, April 21st. Now, the Mercury retrograde will actually be in the sign of Taurus. Now, it will not go direct till May 15th. So, this is actually going to be a time where you may have for the next few weeks issues with electronics, vehicles, computers, cell phone, telephones, the internet, emails, text messages. Vehicles, I would suggest if you have already been having some issues with a vehicle, you may want to have it checked early on because there could be major problems once that retrograde cycle hits. Certain things may be just difficult to avoid. Internet issues, email issues. It may not be anything that you're creating, it's just issues with the internet. Electrical now, computer issues. So, if you definitely have been having some issues with your computers, maybe this is a time to fix it or replace it. Now, the other thing too is messages, text messages, email messages. Sometimes it might be easier to directly communicate with someone versus trying to explain something through a text message and it does not come out the right way. And then it may create a confrontation. So that might be something you may want to be aware of. But overall, from everything that I keep getting, it's just the time to be wary of the Mercury retrograde. Also, be aware where the sign of Gemini does fall in your chart, as that could be an area when the Mercury retrograde hits. That can be an area where this Mercury retrograde will affect it the most.